Now, Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo is set to deliver his decision on whether he'll recuse himself from the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Former President Jacob Zuma applied for Zondo's recusal, saying the inquiry's chair is biased. So, will he stay or will he go? eNCA's Michael Apple and Tulasizo Simelane join me now live. Tulasizo, of course, South Africans in anticipation for that announcement at 3 o'clock from the Deputy Chief Justice. But of course, we sort of know what's going to happen if the Chief Justice doesn't recuse himself. The former president's lawyer already telling us what they'll do.
Yeah, absolutely. That was on day one, Masego Ratlaga. On day one, the indication from Advocate Moses Kakane that basically you can compel me, Chair, to bring my client, and I'll simply bring him here and tell him to sit there in the witness chair and basically exercise his right to not say anything to you that is of substance. But that would not be a constructive way of proceeding because you would not benefit anything out of that particular exercise. Making the argument was Moses Kakane that actually the preferred method is for this particular grievance of former President Jacob Zuma to be dealt with, the perceived bias of the Commission and its processes to be dealt with and dispensed with so that we move forward. And of course, the other alternative is that if he doesn't recuse himself, there's already that undertaking by Moses Kakane to say that there's also the possibility that actually we will take you on litigation to the highest levels. So whether it be it on the decision not to recuse himself or even at the point at which a report has been compiled by this commission, that also stands open to the possibility of litigation. So that's why we are anticipating the decision by Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. 2 hours before the decision is delivered, Masego, not much activity. This just behind us in the distant background is the entrance that is used by the DCJ when he arrives. He's dropped off here and he just walks in through that particular entrance. No movement at this particular point. We've not seen any of the legal teams. With me, though, is Michael Apple, who's been watching this particular story develop very slowly. Michael, you and I have been watching this. So, Michael, let's talk about the issues to do with, former President Jacob Zuma says the narrative is being driven that he is not cooperating with the commission simply because he has not applied to cross-examine anyone. He has not deposed affidavits countering any of the issues that have been raised by various witnesses talking about him. He says, actually, no. I'm doing that because I'm exercising my right not to challenge them, because I believe their versions don't even implicate me in any wrongdoing, in any crimes, and therefore they're not even worthy of a response. But he's been mentioned quite a number of times, hasn't he?
Over 30 witnesses at least. By the last time the president was supposed to have appeared, it was 33 witnesses. I suspect it's growing. That list has grown a little bit. Let's just start with one person, Themba Maseko. He was heading up the GCIS, he was cabinet spokesperson. He had 600 million rand in government ad spend at his fingertips. It is his assertion that he gets a call from one of the Gupta brothers who says, we would like not a slice of that 600 million, the whole 600 million to be directed towards our media empire, the New Age newspaper and ANN7 television channel. We know that Jacob Zuma was instrumental, even on his own version, in the creation of that media empire. So he says, no, I'm not going to give over government's entire ad spend to one media empire. And so the response from the Gupta brother was, well, you're going to work with us or we're going to get rid of you. And he said, well, do your worst. He receives a phone call from Collins Chabane, the late Collins Chabane, who says, look, you're going to be removed, I'm going to move you over. He doesn't fire him directly from government, but he shifts him out and he puts him in another department.
Yeah.
And it is Themba Maseko's assertion that that instruction is given by number one. That is one of the witnesses. Barbara Hogan has spoken about President Jacob Zuma's never-ending wish that Siyabonga Gama become Transnet Group CEO. He only wants Gama, Gama, Gama. That's how she explained it when she was giving testimony. Those are just two I can think of. Feel free to jump in.
Of course, there's Mcebisi Jonas as well, who, in a way, in terms of the public attention to the alleged role of former President Jacob Zuma, I would say was quite more dramatic in the initial phases, way before this particular commission of inquiry.
Yes. Let's all just remember what Mr. Jonas was promised at Saxon World.
On his version.
On his version, with the president's son there. And this is a version which is not contested, bringing him at least to the mansion by Mr. Duduzane Zuma, who testified before this commission. He brought him there. It is Mr. Jonas's assertion that 600 million rand is offered to him if he becomes the finance minister. There are certain preconditions that need to be met, like the nuclear deal. Mr. Nene says, Nhlanhla Nene, who would later take over, that he wouldn't fulfill. He butted heads with the former president then, and that's why he was removed.
Yeah. And of course, you've had people such as Feki Mentor, who has alleged that former President Zuma was in the Gupta home at the time at which that she had also been offered a ministerial position and actually had an interaction with Feki Mentor. Of course, Michael, as we wrap it up, former President Jacob Zuma's team asserting that these witnesses have been sweetheart witnesses of the commission and basically have not had any tough questions being put to them, and a number of them have had inconsistencies. And in fact, Masiho, this is what we are looking forward to see if Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo doesn't recuse himself. Will then former President Jacob Zuma move on to put on a version that seeks to counter the over 30 witnesses that Michael Appel has been talking about?
Well, thank you very much. That is, of course, my colleagues Thulasizwe Simelane as well as Michael Appel. Be sure to watch at 3 o'clock that announcement by the Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo here on eNCA.